We are crossing Alexanderplatz, which is the middle of Berlin, to my understanding, how I grew up. Yeah, ring, ring, ring. Because to work in the field of theater became then my major working place, but I'm an expert in dance. So, and this kind of stepping backwards, forwards, enlarging a situation, making it small, so these are some tools I try to use. So my background then became by watching a lot of performances since then here in Berlin, knowing also all the venues, knowing the theaters. So I'm quite active. I'm really coming out of the practice by watching and getting to know what are the different forms in dance and also in performance practice. We have to face now also understanding of what is art in our field. And art, I mean the deep understanding of what is it as a cultural heritage, cultural way of living, cultural way also of understanding that this is my life. And here I'm deeply at the moment stuck with the topic of how do we create our work on an economical level, and here we are stuck in our Antragskultur system. If you only think that you write your application and then you are ready to be part of a project. So, and here we have to use a different kind of resistance, but also a different understanding how to step out of this Antragskulturwesen, because there's we know also that the frames of after a period of time there is a new generation coming, and if the new generation sees the system and understands the system and uses this as a system to produce art, then we are losing. We are losing the guts, because then it becomes a kind of, in German we say Auftrag, in German becomes this kind of understandable of that if you have a form and it's written down, you just have to fulfill it. An institution is always meant to be, to me, a public place, a public sphere. And this is what we have to fight for, and especially in Berlin now, the idea of what is a public sphere, what is a public place, and what does it mean to us. I repeat this example. The oldest institution for production in dance is Tanzfabrik. Since 1979 they exist, and they still have to write Basisförderungsantrag. This is for me a structure which is, I don't understand this. Germany became one of the last, or is still one of the last countries in Europe who declared Mindestlohn. Why? The richest country in Europe is not possible, it's not able to work out this kind of basic income structure. So to understand again the Berlin work in the art, in the culture, we always need, we need to know, we need to see the brighter picture. And now asking what is our Mindestlohn, it's not for me that it's a big adventure, or it's a big adventure. No, it's one of the basic needs and a basic understanding how to live in society. We need an income. If you once look to the calendar of a year and you mark all the different application deadlines, this is a dead road at the moment, because you are so busy knowing where to cross again something where you can apply for money. 1 year ago I told myself I don't want to write any application anymore. So, but there is still, during a year or also now, I I call it, I support really artistic work. I support artists in the way how they are working, how they are dealing with the situation. But this is also still, yes, here I can advise, here I can also talk to them. But meanwhile, by myself, I need a different structure. And of course, if I start to talk to people, this kind of tiredness, this kind of still being in a running machine, if you don't do it, you don't have it next year. This is something we all know. But how to stop this carousel, because this is right now going nowhere. Yeah. So, and this kind of what else comes out of it? It develops a certain standard. That a standard that you still need to apply for at least for your structure doesn't allow you to go on, to move on. And by now, if you look now over the last discussion debates, so people are looking again for artistic research. The term of artistic practice became a different understanding. So that beside of the art production, you need time to breathe. You need time to rethink. Of course, I know also really curators and colleagues. They have such a brilliant mind and they have such brilliant ideas to work in a program field, to articulate also strategies, to articulate themes. Oops. But by now it would be good if the strategy to work on your own theme as a curator or on your production idea, that you really reflect on yourself. What is your interest? Is it the interest to build up this kind of global market identity place? So is it fame, or what are you looking for?
And when you answer this question?
For myself.
Because also it's power, not to be a curator.
Yeah, but our society is built up on such a hierarchy.
Yeah.
And theater by itself, I mean, this is not the place where you can really start to think of a non-hierarchical working atmosphere. Who's in charge to set somebody in a program, to use an artwork, bringing up into a program? Then I would say we have this kind of dependency. Yeah, we depend on a jury, and who decides you go through with your application or not. And I think right now in Berlin somebody else decided what is an art form in dance, or what is good art in dance, or what is a good dance in our art society. It's a scene by itself who decides now. And if this could be a way that everybody gets a bit more understanding of why everybody is working in this field, then I would really appreciate this kind of turn. And to know.
But still is the jury who decides who gets the money, no?
But I think these times are over. A jury who is not really engaged in the process of art making, in the process of production. This is a system we are working now. How many decades on it? 10, 20? How old is HKF, Hauptstadtkulturfonds? It needs a revolution. It needs really an end of the system. How we decide now who becomes money to produce art, No, we need to really readjust the whole system, that artwork is possible and not application work is possible. Berlin and the scene and the art structure could decide by themselves. If you work for a jury at HKF, at least you have to know the history of Berlin artists and who built up here work, that, you know, if you don't know Esther Salomon, it's your job to know her work. And if a jury needs to be, we have this kind of turning system also in a jury, why not to use this kind of knowledge to build up an art forum, or to build up this kind of jury structure, but made of art workers or cultural workers. It's again the knowledge how we build up our system, and the knowledge also how we work. This knowledge needs to be used. We need to end this kind of waste of our knowledge. Or we have to stop that we waste our knowledge, that we always start from a blank account of an application. This is going nowhere right now.
And also to go beyond the personal taste, no? And this difficult question of how do you define quality, or how do you find these criteria to choose that is beyond because I like it, no? Or because...
But here we have right now a period of this kind of subjectivity, and our subjectivity became a bit of a major role.
So do you think that curators in dance, they choose based on personal criteria? From their guts?
Right now there are also curators, they call their work subjective curation. We are really right now there.
I choose what I want.
Yes, or who I know.
Yeah, but no, this is very tragic. It's all about who is connected with who is friend of who, no? In politics,
or who do you like to promote, or who do you like in your system, who's more close to you. Yeah, I think there the differentiation, or let's use really the word of how much can I abstract my idea of thinking, my idea of presenting, from the idea of what I see, what I know, and what I think needs to be part of it, so I can see the opposite, and I can really enrich the whole system, that your way of work is not anymore done by am I using my concurrence, am I using my competition, or my network? No, I use my knowledge, and not being part of it because I know somebody and I know I'm attached to it. If you work as a programmer or as a curator, to work then down back in the studio, to work with an artist and to see what is a process, how much time you have to spend, how much time you need to spend, and how much time you will lose in this kind of process before you can articulate, before you can show something. I met artists when they needed this kind of twist, as knowing that what they want, knowing that they have the search, the urge also to understand who am I as an artist and what is my art form, and that here I could be we met on the base that I could be a partner, and that it wasn't necessary to be then a programmer. Yeah, so that I really twisted my perception of, yes, I think here is something clear which could be proposed for a good program, but there is something which I call this kind of development, or this kind of race, or this kind of human need and human behavior, that you grow.
How many artists are you supporting right now, being as a dramaturg or advisor?
4.
And are the four of them well positioned in the market, or not necessarily? Would you support also artists that have no chances with the career as well?
Two of them they are supposed to have a good marketplace when we call it marketplace, but it's more, I think, how they created their work, but they are not placed. They don't have, let's say, they don't have a venue, a clear venue in Berlin, and they don't have what I call Standbein, Spielbein, so that you know that you have a certain structure or a certain fixed point, and from this point you can go and play. So the misunderstanding of if one's worked, let's say, on one or two good pieces and got one or two applications through, it doesn't mean that this is a marketplace. So we really have to rethink what do we know, what do we want from a market, and who do we combine when we talk in our off scene from market. Could this be a good idea for program makers, curators or directors of houses to work with artists on a specific project, really in the time period, also in the loss and in the finding of articulation? The debate around the Volksbühne is a very interesting subject right now. We have to take now a bit of a pause of how much more we want to globalize Berlin. And then we have right now our need to work on our local resources. Again, I'm stuck with this term also of knowledge, that first use this kind of system here and appreciate also the system. And one very interesting thing is also, how much do you trust the artist? And why is our society still not able to accept art production, the need of art as a cultural resource in our society, so that this is really saved? We have this thought in Germany, Kultur als Staatsziel. So cultural engagement is beneath engagement also part of a working structure, and we are working in producing values, and this kind of value system needs to be also readjusted in our minds. What are values in our society? So coming back to this idea of how much more international curators we need here in Berlin, it became an interesting topic. And I'm glad that the discussion is right now going on, but I know also that the discussion is too linear in a way of, we are so much used to understand what is a new understanding, what is a new form, the newness, the nowness.